is the Fade 5 Podcast with Brad Evans and Nate Lundy.
Place your bets, you jackwagons. Brad the Big Noise Evans back with you. The good son, Nathaniel Lundy here as well. 'Tis indeed the Fade 5 Podcast presented by Suavecito Tequila. And Lundy, it was a profitable day, believe it or not, for yours truly. Not only in the NFL, but also in college basketball. I had a pair of parlays at the end of the day. Thank you, Houston Cougars, who have been a printing press so far in the first half. The second best first half team in college basketball. They went in and took care of business against the Oregon Ducks on the road in Eugene. So, please and thank you. Let the good times continue tonight down in Mexico City, amigos, as we have San Francisco and Arizona. There was a lot of question marks about the Arizona Cardinals, and as a result, the betting markets have been rather bare in player props. Colt McCoy looking like he's going to draw the start, according to various reports that are out there. Still waiting on concrete information tied to DeAndre Hopkins' availability. So we're not going to feature a ton of Arizona Cardinals in the Fade 5 today. It's going to be a boatload of San Francisco 49ers because it's what's available. But what is available are the standard side and total in this game. Niners are laying 10, and that number has skyrocketed. It was 8 points when I woke up this morning and jumped by 2 points at BetMGM. So San Francisco minus 10 with a total of 42.5. You might have to consider elevation here in Mexico City as a part of that game total. But what are you feeling here with the Niners laying that many points? And again, the total suppress likely due to the altitude.
Well, a couple of things. One, I'm glad you were profitable yesterday because my profitability resembled the Broncos defense in that overtime. A game that I was at. That touchdown happened right in front of me. I'm sitting there next to my parents, and my mom goes, "Oh shit, he's open." Touchdown.
Game, set, match.
Yeah, that was pretty much my mom summarized it very easily there for all of us with Devontae Adams. There's been 3 games played in Mexico City, Brad, as you are aware. There was supposed to be a 4th. That was the one that got moved because the field was in such bad shape back in 2018, if you recall.
That's right. Yeah.
Here are your game totals, 47, 41, 41. So hovering right there around that total you're talking about at 42.5. I frankly would take Arizona now that this number is up to the double digits at the 10. I think they can keep this close. I'm going to clock this one right at the total that has been the most common, that 41. I'm actually going to say this one's a final of 24-17. Give me the Niners to win this one. I think Colt McCoy can look good enough. But you're right. You're talking about altitude. For those of you that are not aware, they always talk about all the altitude here in Denver at 5,280 mile high. Obviously, go do the math. But the stadium in Mexico City is 7,300, if I'm not mistaken, Brad. I think it's another 2,100 feet higher than previous. So I'm on the under just barely. And I'm on the Cardinals to be able to cover this one. I think the fact that it's skyrocketed, I would like to counter bet right now and say that Arizona can keep this one within single digits. Just barely, but single digits.
Yeah, I know these guys are elite athletes. They have six packs that I would kill for, but they're going to be sucking wind in this game, as Lenny mentioned, with the 7,000 plus elevation. So that altitude is going to play a factor. You know, the history card is on your side if you want to take the under there. So let's build in some safety, some cushion. You know what I like to do? A little one-game parlay. I'm going to take the line down because I think the Niners are going to win by a touchdown and the extra point for Robbie Gould. So give me San Francisco minus 6.5, and I'm going to pair that together with the under on an alt total of 50.5. And you do that at BetMGM, it's plus 135, Lundy. And I think that is the right approach in this game. San Francisco should win this one, not necessarily comfortably, but again, 7+ points buys me a little cushion. I'm pushing all of my chips in and hopefully going to cash as a result. So do you like that one game or same game parlay.
Oh, yeah. I like that one a lot. What you got to watch out for, the thing that'll cost you the over-under in this one is if San Francisco were to get a scoop and score or a pick six, or at least a pick that puts them immediately into the red zone. So I could see that being a challenge with the over where it sits at the 42.5. So I like the fact if you take this thing to 50, like you just said, you're buying yourself a touchdown cushion. I think that's pretty strong. Again, the game totals 47 is the most points that have been scored in one of the Mexico City games. Yes, we're only talking about 3 games, but it's still something to keep in mind in terms of what's happened. Because again, I know how altitude can be here in Denver, and you're taking it even higher. So I'm agreeing with you, Brad. I think we're going to see guys over there with the little masks on,
Yep.
Sucking the oxygen to make sure that they've got it. Elite athletes, but altitude can kick anybody's ass. I mean, I'm a really good drinker, but when I go up to Breckenridge, that altitude kicks my ass.
Yeah, hopefully what's not going to kick my ass is bullshit touchdowns. I don't need a pick six or a scoop and score. Let's just play level-headed football, start to finish, under hits, and the Niners cover. With that, let's get after it with another edition of the Fade 5.
Number 5.
All right, numero cinco here on the Fade 5 today. Give me an anytime touchdown for DeAndre Hopkins, and that's assuming that he plays. And it's obviously there's something that you're going to have to monitor the actives and actives up until an hour before kickoff. The best juice in the industry right now, plus 220. Yeah, that's right, plus 220 for a D-Hop anytime score at Bet Rivers. And I think he certainly can accomplish this. A guy gets anywhere between 2 to 3 red zone targets every single week, whether it's Kyler Murray, Colt McCoy, under center. It really doesn't matter. I think there is going to be a negative game script in this contest at some point for the Arizona Cardinals. So as a result, D-Hop could clean up in garbage time. Hopefully it's not going to be garbage time like the Minnesota-Dallas game, which Minnesota couldn't do jack nor squat in regular or garbage time. What a horrendous showing by Kirk Cousins, who will keep his shirt on henceforth, hopefully the rest of the season, without the ice decorating the neck, because he doesn't deserve any of that kind of honor after the showing yesterday. But I think DeAndre Hopkins is worth a ticket at plus 220. One of the fatter juices you'll ever see on a D-Hop anytime score. So I am backing that. Lundy, do you back me? Fade or follow DeAndre Hopkins anytime TD plus 220 at Bet Rivers. Get seduced by that juice, hombre.
Yeah, line up the juice for this one. I'm following only because of where the juice is at. I mean, you don't often see these kinds of numbers for somebody like D-Hop. You got to keep an eye out on these anytime touchdowns, folks, especially when they first get populated at the beginning of the week, because sometimes you do wind up with these that are a little bit off, in my opinion. You got a guy that is so absolutely vital to what this team does. I think really this comes down to the fact, Brad, that people are thinking this one's going to be a little bit of a low-scoring affair, and so you're rolling the dice on Zona to have touchdowns, period, let alone whether or not they go to D-Hop. So with such limited options for Arizona as of tape time, because they're waiting on all the status of these guys, I think you got to jump on an anytime touchdown while you can, and 220 for D-Hop is pretty dollar signs.
Oh, get seduced by that juice.
Number 4.
All right, kickers apparently are people, because I'm backing another prop on one, and it's the former Chicago Bear, now San Francisco 49er, and Robbie Gould. Hopefully he's going to strike it rich on the over 7.5 points scored in this game, minus 115 at DraftKings. Elevation is a good thing for kickers, obviously, because it extends and expands the distance and accuracy potentially of a field goal made. And Robbie Gould's been one of the most reliable kickers in the NFL, not only this season, but really for the last, it seems like 30,000 years. He's got an 81.3 field goal percentage this year. He has hit the over on 7.5 points just in 3 contests against Seattle, KC, and the LA Chargers. You might say, well, those are higher scoring affairs. That's why he hit the over on that total. And this one, a suppressed game total of 42.5 may not get there, but I think he does hit a couple of field goals. Then we have to bank on a couple extra points, and I think he's going to get that as well. Arizona has allowed 5 guys, cinco dudes to go over this number this season. So, Lundy, fade or follow, Robbie Gould, 7.5 points, minus 115 at DraftKings.
Well, unfortunately, I gotta roll the other way on this because of what I'm looking to have happen in the game itself, right? I mean, I gave my score prediction. I can't fade away from that. I did make some money. Really, the only bet that I got right yesterday of the 825 that I made, I did have a lot of bets yesterday. I lost a lot of coin. Was Brandon McManus. So thank goodness BMAC came through at altitude. I like your logic. I get it. Altitude, the ball just keeps flying, like it lands somewhere like near Cancun by the time it comes down at that kind of altitude. But at this point, just based on what I had predicted within the game, I'm going to stick to my game script, and I'm going to say this 7.5 is too high. So I would actually take the under on this one. I got to fade you.
They go full Yukon Cornelius. Gold, silver, and gold.
Number 3.
All right, a little guesswork here, Lundy. I have no prop available on this individual, but I feel so hot and heavy for one Trey McBride. I don't care what the number is when it opens. I'm taking the over on his receiving yards at minus whatever, available or at wherever, because we have no idea. This is something to monitor. At tape time on the morning here on this Monday is not available. This could be something that may populate at the sportsbook sites here in the 11th hour, but I'm guessing this line is going to be below 9.5 receiving yards. This could be a single play payday in the end. I know what you're thinking. Well, Brad, look at the surface numbers of Trey McBride last week. 1 measly target, 1 measly reception for 7 measly yards. But you got to look under the surface. The man ran 27 routes. He played on 81% of the Arizona Cardinals snaps. He's basically the new Zach Ertz within this offense because Ertz is out for the season. So if he gets a similar workload against a defense, which is outstanding, there's no question about it. But San Francisco has allowed 4.2 receptions per game and 34.6 receiving yards per game to the tight end position. Based on the workload, the potential routes run alone, I think you could see a target, maybe 3. And if we catch one ball for like 10 yards, I think that is going to be a winner here in the end. So again, monitor, keep a close eye on this, jump on it immediately. I can almost guarantee you this line's going to get juiced up because it's going to be so low. But Trey McBride over XX, whatever the receiving yards are at minus XXX, fill in the blank at XXX. Lundy, are you with me on this, or are you saying get off the sauce, Evans?
I just thought maybe you were a Vin Diesel fan. You get the like I'm preparing for the show and I'm just seeing all these triple X's everywhere. I didn't know what the hell you had going on. No, I think this is a smart play. Look to see what it comes out at, but pay attention to the juice because this is going to be one that if you don't jump on it right away, it's probably going to get juiced to high heaven or the number is going to move and it's going to get to the point where it's not as attractive to you. So I know a lot of you have, jobs and can't actually just sit around and stare at the sports book all day and wait for them to populate lines. Brad and I are degenerates. That's all we do is sit and stare at the computer and wait for somebody to populate lines that we're interested in. But I like your thinking on this one. You should be able to get something out of this, and it's one of our favorites. Brad and I have talked about this a ton. We love one and done paydays, right? It's like a made 3, a blocked shot, anything like that is just a one and done. And this is probably a one and done based on where it opens.
Slam the refresh button and bet on the over with Trey McBride.
Number 2.
I'm nothing but a G thing, baby. I'm going to get crazy on this one. Jimmy Garoppolo, give me the over on 1.5 passing touchdowns. Lightest juice right now, minus 120 at BetMGM, and I'm still obviously jumping in on this. Jimmy Garoppolo has been a cash cow moo here in this category the last several weeks. He's been over 1.5 passing touchdowns at 4 of his last 5 games. He is number 4 in the NFL in red zone completion percentage. And one of the numbers that really jarred me while researching this, he is number 3 in pass yards per attempt, this season with 8.1. We know he's got weapons galore: George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, who's been good for like 80 yards in 5 straight games. And he's got Christian McCaffrey to check down to, and Elijah Mitchell will help move the chains on the ground as well. So Jimmy Garoppolo against this secondary, Arizona giving up 7.14 pass yards per attempt, 257.1 pass yards per game, and have allowed 5 signal callers that throw 2 or more passing touchdowns, make it 6 with ain't nothing but a G thing, baby. Again, Jimmy Garoppolo over 1.5 passing touchdowns. Fade or follow me, Lundy, minus 120 at BetMGM.
When you start rapping, I mean, it's bad enough when you're doing it. It's bad enough when you're singing like bad 80s pop.
Yeah.
But when you break into the 90s rap, I really think we need an intervention. We need to get some people together.
I grew up on Stupid Dre. I love those guys.
You need to. No, I'm just saying, dial it back, okay? I mean, we're gonna get the crew from Live on the Line together. I'm gonna join them. We're gonna have an intervention, and we're gonna make this shit stop. That's what we're gonna do. No, we're gonna follow on this one. Look, he had the streak of games. What was it? 4 in a row that he had 2 touchdowns, and then that got broken last week. So look, I think he gets back on the horse this week. I think this is probably my favorite of your props that you've got here on the show. Just flat props. I do like the SGP OGPs that we've been talking about putting together, but just in terms of single prop, this might be my favorite one because I think he's good for 2. I think they're going to get it done through the air. I told you, I think San Francisco is good for 3 touchdowns in this game based on my prediction. I think they get 1 on the ground, 2 through the air, 1 if by land, 2 if by sea. There you go. And we wind up cashing this ticket. I like this one a lot.
Death Row is a label that pays me, and so is Jimmy Garoppolo.
Number 1.
Oh, you've won another OGP. Come with me, Lundy, on this one. And it's all about the CMC Football Factory. And he's not going to make you sweat. And I'm not going to sing that because Martha Walsh has a much better voice than I could ever utter in this baritone way because I would butcher that classic. But I like Christian McCaffrey to go for 50-plus rush yards. And the CMC Football Factory to chip in 30-plus receiving yards. He accomplishes both feats. You're going to plus 110 at BetMGM. You look at McCaffrey and what he has done this season so far with San Francisco. He's a guy that's been featured right around 70% of the opportunity share. Yeah, he's going to surrender some touches to Elijah Mitchell, but he's still going to have a very well-defined role. Arizona giving up 4.52 yards per carry and 124 total yards per game in the running back position. Interestingly, McCaffrey already faced this defense as a member of the Carolina Panthers earlier this season, only went for 27 rushing yards, but he had just 8 rush attempts in that game, caught 9 balls 9 times for 81 yards and a touchdown. He's a guy that is getting probably 15 carries approximately in this game, I would say, and probably additional 5 or so receptions as well. Alvin Kamara, Dalvin Cook, the only guys that go over both of these in the same game against Arizona. But I think McCaffrey, given his incredible duality, will add his name to that very short list. So fade or follow, number 1 here, Christian McCaffrey. 50-plus rush yards, Christian McCaffrey. 30-plus receiving yards, plus 110 at BetMGM.
Oh, we're rolling with this one. I told you I like the OGP SGPs that you've built for today's pod. I like a couple of straight up bets, including one that I literally just watched populate in front of my eyes. We're going to talk about that here in a second. I like this OGP a lot. I've got another OGP that's all about the Niners coming up as well as we get to bonus time. So this is a solid. This is a solid. I'm going to say B+ here, Brad. I like this one. I like this one a lot.
Interesting. I really want to hear another.
Want to hear what just populated?
It's bonus time. It's bonus time. What just populated? You're killing me. Feed me. What do you got?
Over at DraftKings, Brad, they just tossed up the receiving yards for Kyle Juszczyk.
I'm seeing it. It's 7.5 at -120. Just keep talking. I'm logging in.
But Brad, it was 8.5. I'm not kidding. Maybe 75 seconds ago. It was 8.5, and it was juiced to the under. It moved to 7.5. Now it's juiced to the over. Folks, here's Juszczyk's game log from the last 5 games. 1 catch, 24 yards. 1 catch, 35 yards. 2 catches, 27. 4 catches, 33. 3 catches for 34. Now, he's been out since the Kansas City game back on October 23rd. He is now back. Folks, he is a one and done. This is like the block shot made three-pointer I was just talking about. This is a guy that averages 14 yards a catch. All he needs is 1, and he's going to hit this number. I'm all about this at the -120. My guess is that it's going to either get juiced up or that yardage is going to move again. I literally watched the screen refresh right in front of me and watched it drop to 7.5. Again, he averages 14 a carry. They could bump this thing up to 9.5, and I wouldn't care because Juszczyk is a guy that is a one and done player. So I hope you snagged that one right there. Did you get it?
I just got it in. I just had the spreadsheet, and I just butchered Juszczyk's last name. I can't spell it.
Oh, no, you can't because it's like Vanna, I'd like to buy a vowel. All right. Brad, how about all George Kittle all the time on an OGP? Here's an easy one for you. George Kittle, 40-plus yards. George Kittle, 4+ receptions. And then I'm adding San Francisco just on the money line to get this into positive territory because just Kittle's 40 and 4 alone is a -105. But if I add in San Francisco on the money line, did this one at DraftKings, it comes out to a +145. That is a very nice one-game parlay. Remember, Arizona sucks against the tight end position. They give up an average of 7.5 catches and 77.8 yards to the position. So love the idea of an all George Kittle. Let me go from the Mexico game back into the ice. Let's go back to the ice here with my NHL picks. Let's start off. Let me see here. Let me give you just a simple 2-leg money liner. Give me the Nashville Predators at home against the lowly Arizona Coyotes, and give me the St. Louis Blues at home against Anaheim. Just straight money line on those two is a +107. You know, I love my goals in the first 10, even though it was very much a mixed bag this weekend. Thank God for Saturday night because I made some cash that paid for everything I lost yesterday. Goal in the first 10 in these 2 games, Vegas and Vancouver, as well as Edmonton and New Jersey. That pays you a +149. And finally, a player prop tonight in that St. Louis game that I was just talking about. They're hosting Anaheim. Give me Jordan Kyrou for a power play point. So it can be an assist or a goal. He is at +310 to have a power play point. Folks, they just played Anaheim on Saturday, and he had a power play assist in that one. And Anaheim is the worst team on the penalty kill in the entire NHL at 64.1%. They suck when they are on the man disadvantage, and I fully expect St. Louis to take advantage of that. And if they do, the speedster that is Jordan Kyrou should be a part of it. And at +310, this reminds me of the DeAndre Hopkins anytime touchdown you were just doing, Brad. Getting that kind of odds on a power play point for a guy like Jordan Kyrou does not happen very often. So I'm absolutely taking that one at a +310. Is that all that I'm looking across my notes? I've got so many damn pieces of paper in front of me because I'm working on tonight's TV show. Yes, my friend, I am done. I pass the baton to you. Run the final leg for me. What do you got in bonus time?
Well, Elijah Mitchell, whatever the rush yards prop is, I'm going to take the over on that. Again, Arizona at 4.52 yards per carry allowed at the running back position. I would assume it's going to be in the low 50s, but I am also assuming that he's probably going to get at least 13 to 15 carries on the ground, working in concert with Christian McCaffrey. And again, with a positive game script, he could blast his way to close to 60 yards tonight. So that is anywhere below 54.5. Hammer the over. Sledgehammer style on Eli Mitchell. Elsewhere, how about a same-game parlay in that contest? Give me San Francisco -2.5 on an all line. Give me Brandon Ayuk, 40-plus receiving yards, and Christian McCaffrey James Conner at 15 plus receiving yards. All three of those legs hit. You're looking at plus 188. So I do like that three-legger for a lot of the reasons I mentioned earlier. Ayuk, by the way, has been 80 yards machine through the air here, consistently delivering that number in 4 straight games. Again, it's just 40 plus. And then Connor with a likely negative game script and no Eno Benjamin in the equation anymore, probably going to run more than his average 18.3 routes per game. This could be a 20 plus routes per game kind of effort tonight. All right, college basketball. Oh my God, I like everything today. There is a ton of day action. I've already got bets posted there. If you're consuming this podcast early enough, check out my wagers at Noisy Huevos on Twitter. I've been running hot here of late after that frigid start to last week. But on the late night tip tonight in Maui, I say wowie with Arizona. I'm going to lay the chalk here at 9.5 against the Bearcats of Cincinnati. Arizona has been marvelous offensively. They scored at least 95 points in their first 3 games. They are number 1 in college hoops and effective field goal percentage offense. They're shooting 72.8% inside the arc and 46.7% outside of it, and also pretty good defensively. Number 36 in adjusted defensive efficiency. Tubelis and friends, I think, are going to ignite the scoreboard against the Bearcats, who are number 313 in effective field goal percentage offense and number 307 in three-point percentage defense. Even on a neutral floor, in paradise, I think they win this game by 15 plus, and it's just 9.5 on that line. Earlier on the slate, I like Richmond on the money line to upset Syracuse, and that's at plus 150 right now at BetMGM. This game being played in Brooklyn. Syracuse has been a shell of Syracuse teams we've seen recently under Jim Boeheim. Defensively, they are zone exclusive, and as a result, if you have zone busters, you can just spot up from 3 and tear them apart. And they're giving up 39.3% from the perimeter as a result. The number 140 in adjusted defensive efficiency on the early season. They lost at Colgate by 12, and Richmond, they've struggled as a collective from outside, but Tyler Burton is a baller. He may get a cup of coffee in the NBA. He's shooting 38.5% from 3, and as a team, the Spiders are shooting 55.2% inside the arc. So if they can do some cooking from outside, I think they could ultimately beat the Orange in a neutral court environment. Let's go with a deep play. I like Duquesne, the Dukes, -10 against North Florida. North Florida, number 281 in adjusted defensive efficiency, number 344 in defensive rebounding rebounding percentage, I should say, not precision. Duquesne, number 44 in offensive rebounding on the season, and they're shooting over 38% from distance. They got a guy named Day Grant, who has been outstanding from 3, 14 for 22 so far this season. I think they blow out Northern Florida in this matchup, so I would lay the 10 there. And then one more game for you. I like the Iowa Hawkeyes on the over team total. I don't know what it is because it's not yet posted. It's probably going to be around 92.5 is what I suspect. They're playing Monmouth, they're playing Ohio, and the Mavs are one of the worst defensive teams in college basketball. Number 335 in D efficiency, number 296 in three-point percentage defense, giving up 38.2%. I think Murray and friends are just going to light them up. This could be another 100-plus point score for the Hawkeyes, which they did earlier this year. They've gone 89, 112, 83. It should be at least 93 points in this one. Iowa, number 3 in college basketball and adjusted offensive efficiency. And there you have it. That is a wrap on this edition of the Feed 5 podcast. Drop us a rating and or review. Would you kindly, if you enjoy this show, you can also follow us on the Twitter. Me at Noisy Huevos, my spreadsheet, always free, always transparent. Lundy also has an always free and transparent spreadsheet as well. Follow him on the Bird Box at Nate Lundy. Until next time, as always, feed or follow that is up to you.